Can solid rock bend? Did you know that some rocks have experienced ductile deformation while being close to the surface? These sandstones in the Grand Canyon, for example, have deformed by as much as 90 degrees. The problem from a secular perspective is that this bending supposedly occurred more than 400 million years after the rocks were first deposited. But the sandstones should have turned into solid rock after only a few thousand years, or perhaps as many as 10,000 years. It is impossible for terrestrial sandstones such as this to stay wet and pliable for 400 million years. Some might object and suggest that these rocks were exposed to high pressures and temperatures during that time. But when rocks are exposed to high pressures and temperatures, the grains in the rocks are heavily altered. This is called metamorphism, and this alteration is easily detectable. Yet these sandstones show no sign of metamorphism whatsoever. Now, it is possible, given strain that works incrementally at the microscopic level, for bends like this to form over large time frames. Think of the rock compressed but not heated, bending at just millimeters per decade or something like that. But evidence for this type of strain would be evident in the rock itself in the form of microscopic reorientations of individual grains. Yet these kinds of reorientations are absent from these rocks. And are we really to believe that strain tirelessly bends these rocks at the microscopic scale over tens of millions of years without any meter scale slippage? The Grand Canyon area has experienced 5 large 5.0 or larger earthquakes in just the last 100 years. Great big earthquakes like this cause massive fractures in the rocks. So how many 5.0 or larger earthquakes did the Grand Canyon area get in the last, say, 70 million years? That's when upward movement of these rocks supposedly began. Well, if you get 5 in 100 years, that makes 3,500,000 earthquakes greater than a 5.0 on the Richter scale since uplift began. Does this bend look like it has experienced 3,500,000 large earthquakes to you? The simplest explanation is that these rocks were not rocks when they were deformed, but rather they were wet sediment. But that would mean that there were only years to millennia that separated the time of deposition from the time of uplift. Yet notice that from a secular perspective, more than 400 million years supposedly exist between these two events. These data, however, do not conflict with a young age creationist worldview that believes all these sediments are less than about 10,000 years old. Okay, so that's all from me, Ken Coulson here at Creation Unfolding. For other resources, don't forget to go to my website, www.creationunfolding.com. Of course, I have a book if you want to look for that. If you thought this video was helpful, then it would be incredibly supportive if you could hit the like button, subscribe, and ring the bell. But you know what? I think the greatest support that you could possibly provide me is prayer. So if you could stop right now and pray for me, I'd really appreciate it. Thank you and goodbye.